Remember, I'm recording this class, this lesson now. Ek gaan nou die les opneem sodat ons dat jy later kan teruggaan na toe. Every day I will post a link on the account on the accounting group. Mr. Hong will do the same. So as jy nou iets gemis het vandag, want ek het sê net maar Engels gepraat en nie Afrikaans nie, then go this afternoon because I try to repeat everything. I already told you that yesterday. I'm busy explaining the functions of the new ledger accounts. Ek weet om die funksies, ek moet vandag dit, ek moet probeer om dit klaar te maak vandag. At the latest tomorrow. So ons het gister gekyk hoeveel aandele was uitgereik. We already realized there was 800,000 shares issued, maar as net 500,000 uitgereik. They were authorized 800,000. Now was gemagtig aan 800,000 aandele. Issued was 500,000 shares. Uitgereik was 500,000 aandele. Hoeveel, die volgende vraagie says, how many more shares can we actually issue? As daar 800,000 gemagtig is, if there's 800,000 authorized shares, and you've already issued 500,000 shares. This is simple sommetjie, 300,000 aandele. Simple calculation. Are we fine, people? Now, if you do not understand, you need to stop me because we have to practice doing these accounts. I'm going through the theoretical background of accounts. Dis al wat ek nou doen. Dan praat vir jou, hoekom is dit belangrik vir 'n maatskappy om aan te dui dat hy gemagtigde aandele kapitaal het, al het hy nie al die aandele onmiddellik uitgereik nie. Why does a company have to, in its financial statements, the company have to indicate what is the authorized share capital en hoeveel is uitgereikte kapitaal? Why do you think it's important? Why will you, the shareholder or prospective shareholder, why would you like to know what is authorized and what has been issued already? Hoekom dink jy sal jy wil weet? Jy is die aandeelhouer. Of jy wil dalk 'n aandeelhouer word? Hoekom moet jy weet hoeveel aandele is gemagtig en hoeveel is reeds uitgereik? Why do you think? Die antwoord gaan nou al klaar daar. Dink dan, forget about my answer. Dink net, hoekom sal jy wil weet? Why is it important for you to know what is authorized and what have been issued already? Ek wil aandele koop in julle maatskappy. Why would I like to know how many has been authorized and how many of those were issued already? Sodat ek kan weet hoeveel aandele is oor, hoeveel is beskikbaar, how many shares is available to be sold or that I can buy, en wat's nog 'n rede? So I can say, okay, 300,000. So even if I buy 300,000, I'm not the majority shareholder yet. Verstaan jy? Want as jy mos, want ek het nou net mos verduidelik. If you are the majority shareholder, as jy die aandeelhouer is, jy's die meerderheidsaandeelhouer, dan beheer jy die maatskappy. So I want to be the majority shareholder. I'm not going to buy the 300,000 shares. Dan moet ek nog 100,000 by een van julle kom koop. En wie sê julle wil verkoop? Verstaan julle dit, people? Are you fine? Don't worry about copying this. Ek sal dit vir julle print. Ek gaan, wat is moontlik as ons moet copy? Don't worry about copying the answers. Al wat ek gemaak is, I'm going to just print. Ek sal Afrikaans en Engels like print, maar nie die vrae nie, just the answers, né? Want die vrae is mos nou klaar by julle in die boek. Oh, don't worry, I will print this. Don't worry, you don't need to copy this. We're not wasting time. But so it's important that one of the reasons is that I want to know what percentage of the shares belongs to me. As ek nou 300,000 koop, then I know that 300 of the 800,000, so ek is amper die meerderheid, but I'm not the majority shareholder. So, is julle verstaan julle dit? Okay? Dan hoekom gaan 'n maatskappy besluit om nie al sy gemagtigde aandele aan die begin van die maatskappy se lewensduur uit te reik? Why? I explained this in class already. Why is it not wise for a company to issue all its authorized shares when the company starts? Ek het al 100 keer dit gesê. Hoekom moet die maatskappy nie al sy aandele dadelik uitreik nie? Yes. Excellent answer. Remember, if all the authorized shares is issued at the start of this company, Then if the company needs more cash, dat is daar nie meer aandele nie. Then the company has to apply for a loan. Loan is expensive. Terwyl as daar nog aandele is, then the company can issue that most probably at a higher price than the original price that you issued it, because now the company has grown, the value of the shares have grown. So jy gaan 'n bietjie meer geld kan kry. And remember, whenever you issue shares, you never have to pay that money back. This was wat die aandeelhouer betaal het om 'n eienaar te word. All that he wants back is dividends. Hy wil nie sy geld terug hê nie. Is julle by? And if he doesn't want the shares anymore, it's his problem. He must sell it somewhere else. You as a company can buy it back if you want to. If you feel, miskien moet ons hierdie aandele terugkom, the company must buy this back, because then we have shares in our kitty again for whenever we need cash again. Is julle, verstaan julle dit? Do you understand this? Okay. Right? Dis staan ons nou daar. As 'n aandeel, dis 'n belangrike feit wat hier staan, indien 'n aandeelhouer die kontrole wil hê, hy in charge, to be in control, if you are the controlling shareholder, then you have the majority shares. Hierdie maatskappy het 800,000 gemagtigde aandele. This company has a share capital of 800,000 authorized shares. If I want to be the majority shareholder, I must have more than half. Is it there? I should actually have 400,001 shares. Maar as ek net een aandeel meer het as 400,000, then I am the majority shareholder. Do you understand that? Maar nou is die probleem. I can't buy one share. I must buy shares in units of 100. Onthou, aandele word verkoop. Public company can only buy and sell shares on the JSE. Publieke maatskappy kan net aandele koop en verkoop op die Johannesburgse effektebeurs. Shares are not sold in units of 1 on the JSE. Hulle word verkoop in eenhede van 100. So in theory, I need to have 400,001 share. Verstaan julle dit? I can't buy one share. So hoeveel moet ek koop? 400,100 shares. Do you understand that, people? Is julle by? Okay. Are we fine with this? Because shares are sold in units of 100. Ek kan nie na die Johannesburgse effektebeurs toe gaan en sê ek verkoop net een aandeel. Kan iemand net een aandeel aan my verkoop so I can be the majority shareholder? It's not going to be. And by the way, normal people, us, cannot buy on the JSE. We are not licensed to trade on the JSE. Daarvoor is daar aandele makelaars. That's why they are share brokers. They have specific training. They must be registered. Hulle moet geregistreer word. Hulle mag aandele koop en verkoop. They can buy on your behalf. But I cannot fly up to Joburg and go to the JSE. Hier is ek met my sakke vol geld. Ek gaan nou aandele koop. They're not going to allow you in there because I don't have the necessary qualifications. I'm not registered. Yes. You need to study something and you need to write an exam that is set by the JSE board, en dan as jy deurkom, kan jy daar gaan. So it's not a normal person. Ek kan nie so toe gaan nie. I must be registered, and to register, I need to do a certain course, en ek moet eksamen skryf, sodat ek my registrasie kan kry. Is julle by daarmee? Are we fine? Why do you think the JSE has these rules? Why can't anybody just decide, I'm going to go to the JSE, like an open market? Niemand kan sê, ek mag nie Pick n Pay toe gaan nie. I don't need to write an exam to go to Pick n Pay. But I must write an exam and qualify if I want to trade on the JSE, if I want to go and buy and sell there. Hoekom dink julle is dit so? Yes. That can be criminals with that is studied as well. Hoekom dink julle? Hoekom kan 'n gewone mensie instap by die Johannesburgse effektebeurs en sê hier is ek met my sak vol geld. Ek kom 'n paar aandele koop. Why do you think that is? How big do you think the JSE is? Hoe groot dink jy is dit? Nee, is nie so groot nie. If anybody is allowed to, then there are no real control over shares bought and sold. As julle by, verstaan jy dit? And then if anybody can go in there, let's say that I know nothing about buying and selling shares, but I would like to buy some shares. Dan kan ek nie agterna gaan en sê, hoor ek het nou 'n foutjie gemaak hier, want ek is nie opgelei nie. If you are if you have been, wat is opgeleid in Engels, wat ek vergeet? Trained. If you have been trained properly, then you cannot tell the board of the JSE, sorry, I made a mistake. You went in there, you know what you're supposed to do or not, you're not supposed to do. Is julle by daarmee? Are we fine? Right. Dan, dis hoekom ek daar gesê het, die half, hy is gevra, hoeveel moet hy koop om, hy moet 50% hê van die uitgereikte aandeel, 50% of the existing shares issued. There's 500,000 shares in issue. So if he wants to be the majority shareholder now, he must have 250,000 and 100. As al die aandele uitgereik was, it must be 400,000 and 100. Is julle by? Are we fine? So in this case, whenever this business decides to issue more shares, this majority shareholder will no longer be the majority shareholder unless he buys the others as well. Is julle by? So in this example, 500,000 shares were issued. I want to be majority shareholder. Ek moet nou 250,100 aandele hê. Next month, the business issues another 100,000 shares. Hoeveel moet ek nou hê? Now I must have, hoeveel? 300,100. Is julle by? So every time the number of shares issued changes, then my shareholding must also change if I want to stay the majority shareholder. Verstaan jy dit? Sodra die uitgereikte aandelekapitaal verander, dan moet ek meer aandele koop indien ek die meerderheidsaandeelhouer wil bly. Is julle alright daarmee? Are we fine, right? Dan, in watter joernaal gaan ons skryf? Us being the company, in which journal will we write when we issue shares? Business is receiving money, so obviously in the CRJ. Dis 'n maklike enetjie om dit uit te figure. As op besigheid geld kry, skryf ons in die KOE. What will the two accounts be? Ons kry mos geld, so bank must be the debit. Dis mos reg, né? Why are we receiving this money? For ordinary share capital, so the credit account will be gewone aandelekapitaal. Dit kan jy uitfigure deur net jou rekenkundige beginsels toe te pas. Every debit needs a credit. If business receives money, bank must be the debit. Then whatever reason you receive the money for must be the credit. En in hierdie geval kry ons die geld vir gewone aandelekapitaal. So what will the credit account be? Ordinary share capital. Is julle by daarmee? Are we fine? Is julle okay? Right. Nou gaan ons na behoue inkomste. We go to retained income. Ek het dit nou al 'n paar keer gesê. Why would the directors decide to keep some of the profit or all of the profit for the company itself? In plaas daarvan om dit vir die aandeelhouers uit te deel. The profit this year after tax is R10. The directors is going to go to the AGM. Die direkteure gaan na die algemene jaarvergadering toe. Julle die aandeelhouers is daar. I'm the CEO of this company. You are the shareholders. The company, me and Mr. Horn, I'm CEO, he's financial director. Now all of you are shareholders. Nou moet ons verduidelik. These are the financial statements. Can you see? This is the statement of comprehensive income. Dis hoeveel winst daar was. This is the tax we are responsible for. There's R10 left after tax. Mr. Horn, financial director, is going to stand up, discuss this, show all the statements, and then Mr. Horn is going to say, the company has R10 profit left after tax. We, the directors, propose that R5 of that R10 must be shared amongst you. Die ander R5 gaan die maatskappy vir homself hou. Then you will have to vote. Okay, you voted, you said it's fine. Hoekom gaan die maatskappy vir homself geld wil terughou? Why? Why will you, being a responsible shareholder, vote for the company keeping some of the profit that's available to share amongst you? Why would a responsible shareholder vote that, yes, we don't want all the profit, keep some in the kitty of the company? Yes. Excellent answer. Because if you have no money, if there's no money in the kitty, in the retained income account of the company. The company has no money to develop, no money if there's a crisis. Toe het COVID was, nie geld gehad om aan te kan gaan nie, want hulle het nie geld gespaar nie. So the retained income is actually the savings of the company as a legal person. Verstaan julle dit? Okay? Remember, a company is a legal person. And responsible shareholders will vote yes, 50% for us, 50% for our company. Because you know, if the company has savings, then the company can grow. 'n onverantwoordelike aandeelhouer gaan sê, nee, daar's R10, al R10 moet na ons te kom. Next year there's a crisis, then we worry about it next year, then we sell our shares. Dan is die maatskappy daarmee heen. Verstaan julle dit? Are you fine with that? Okay. Dan, what benefit is there to the shareholders if the company keeps all or part of the profit earned? Onthou nou, dis 'n belangrike vraag. Wat is die hoekom sal dit voordelig wees vir die aandeelhouers as daar nou gesê word ons van die geld kan gespaar word? Because for all you know, listen carefully, for all you know, this year we can save R5. Next year in the company, here Mr. Horn is up again, you are still shareholders. Terrible year. The economics in this country was terrible in the past financial year. We only have R4 profit to share between you and the company. But we have R5 from last year. So what can we do? We can use some of the R5 of last year. Let's make it R3. Add it to the R4 that we have now. And then you can get a little bit more dividends. Verstaan julle dit? Are you fine? It's always wise for a company to have a little bit of retained income. The more the retained income is, the more relaxed you as shareholder should be. Maar nou weet jy, maak nie saak wat gebeur nie. As hierdie jaar sleg was, kan ons van laas jaar se geld miskien kry. Yes. Because remember, you are the shareholders. If you get, this is a bad year financially for this company. If you're not going to get anything, what are you going to do with your shares? Jy gaan dit verkoop, né? So, if we can use some of last year's savings, we had too much, we saved a lot last year, then the company can, Mr. Horn is going, he's the financial director, he's going to say, terrible financial year. But fortunately, we have enough retained income from the previous years so that you as shareholders can at least get 50 cents per share instead of the 2 cents that's available of this year's profit. Verstaan jy dit? So to keep you as a shareholder, because if you remember, you can't get, there's not enough money now. Normal people, normal shareholders will say, I can't invest my money in this company and I don't get a good enough return. Let me rather sell my shares and let's say 50%, 50% of you decide now that we're not going to wait another year. We don't know if the economy of the country is going to grow. And at the moment, you see that the World Bank has actually downgraded our growth rate to 1%. Usually it was 1.9, now that 1%. So that means a company's profit would most probably grow with 1%. So if it was me, I'm not the CEO of this company, I'm a shareholder. The minute I see that there's not enough profit, not enough dividends for me, I'm going to sell my shares because I'm not going to wait another year in the hope that the country's economy will grow so that we can have a better profit. And if 50% of the existing shareholders decide to sell their shares, make it available on the JSE, do you think people is going to buy this? At what price? At a lower price because there's more than enough shares offered to be sold. Do you understand? So that's to keep the shareholders happy. A company must actually make sure that there's enough retained income to keep dividends at the same rate or a 1%, 2% growth. If the economy grows with 1%, then the dividends must grow with 1%. It should be in line with that. It's a silly company that makes a big profit this year. The economy grew with 1%, but this company grew so with 20%. Let's make the dividends 20% more, because who knows, they can maintain that next year. Do you understand? You want the dividends to be in line with everything. There shouldn't be big fallouts. Today, this year, very high. Next year, very low. We try to make it an even investment. Yes, your hand was up. Yes, there is where does the money come from? It comes from your retained income. Yes, it will be. Any other questions? Verstaan julle dit? Okay. As jy 'n aandeelhouer is, wil jy verseker weet dat jy ten minste gaan 'n goeie opbrengs op jou belegging kry. And if the company doesn't make enough profit and the company doesn't have enough retained income from previous years, gaan jy 1 jaar 10 cent per aandeel kry, volgende jaar 1 cent. And the year you get the 1 cent, you want to sell your shares. En is nie net jy wat so gaan voel nie, baie aandeelhouers gaan so voel. Because if there's such a big drop, volgende jaar gaan jy seker moet inbetaal. Do you understand the reasoning around this? Is julle by? Are we fine? Gera? Right. Ek gaan soos ek sê, daar is die volgende antwoord, ek sal al hierdie goed vir jou doen. So what is the next one? And what is the benefit to shareholders if the company keeps all or part of profit? Ek het net dit gedoen. Then, which final ledger account is used to show the profit earned? Wat is die finale rekening? Dis die verdelingsrekening. Remember, in partnerships, we also had an appropriation account where we shared the profit. Jy onthou, in die vennootskap was daar 'n verdelingsrekening, die netto wins, en dan kan die vennoot gekry het interest, a salary, a bonus, and then the remaining part of the share. The same appropriation account will be used to share the profit van 'n maatskappy, maar daar's 3 partye. There are 3 parties. Number 1 is Mr. Tax. SARS wants the income tax. There's no getting away from that. So dis heel eerste, R10 se wins, SARS vra sy R3, because companies tax is around about 27% at the moment. So kom ons maak dit nou maar 30%. So there's R10 available this year. That was the profit of everything, all incomes and expenses, R10 profit. So that's the what must be shared between the 3 parties. That's 3 partye. Income tax first, shareholders for dividends, and what remains belongs to the company as a retained income. Is julle by daarmee? Are we fine? Okay. So, what is the account we're going to use to share the profit? Wat 'n rekening gebruik ons? Die verdelingsrekening, the appropriation account. En hoe gaan ons dit doen? Whatever is left of the profit, after income tax, after dividends, dit behoort mos aan die maatskappy. And that will go to retained income. Retained income is a owner's equity account. Eienaarsbelangrekening raak mos meer aan die krediet, remember, capital increases on the credit side, retained income as well. So you will credit retained income en jy gaan die verdelingsrekening moet debiteer. That's the double entry principle en mens doen dit in die algemene joernaal. You will never get to do the general journal, you will just do the ledger accounts. So appropriation account will be the debit and your retained income sal die krediet wees. Verdelingsrekening is gedebiteer met die deel van die wins wat die maatskappy vir homself hou en behoue inkomste word gekrediteer. Are we fine, people? Is julle okay? Goed. Kom ons gaan aan. Ons vorder. Ek weet, ek gaan nou met aangaan. Julle kom ons so saam met my ding. And as I said, I'm going to copy and paste this for you. I'm going to print the answers. Want ek wil hê jy moet alles afskryf nie. Dis half sinneloos as jy alles afskryf. Ek kan mos in elk geval vir jou, ek het mos al klaar getik. Or the only thing is I'm going to copy and print the Afrikaans and English. So jy moet maar die Afrikaans, ek gaan so maak. I'm going to take this. I have an answer sheet. Ek gaan dit vat en copy next to 3.1. Ek gaan nie die vraag ook weer copy nie. Are we fine? As moet ek nou die Afrikaanse Engels weer daar afgaan. Ek gaan net daai copy en dis vraag 3.1 se antwoord. Is julle okay, people? Are we fine? Okay. Right. Vraag 3.1. Ek het dit al gedoen, ek sê maar net weer, ek het dit nou al gedoen. Onthou toe ons ek gepraat het oor die groot berekeninge, het ek vir jou gevra, hoekom kan direkteursvergoeding nie deel wees van salarisse en lone nie? Why not? Now I explained that you, the shareholder, would like to see how much the directors are paid. Nou, en die rekenkundige beginsel hierby betrokke is wesenlikheidsbeginsel, the concept of materiality. It's of material importance to the shareholder to see how much of the profit is spent on the directors. So let's make it a simple example. The profit in the end is R5, but the directors received R100. Is that fair then? Is it dan nie hulle te veel geld gekry as dan net R5 oor is? That is why you would like to know what the directors actually received for their services. Hoeveel het ek en meneer Hon gekry? Ons twee het R100 gekry. There's R5 to share amongst you. Is that fair? Nee, is dit regverdig? And that R5 doesn't even belong to you because SARS wants iets bit. Dan moet die maatskappy ietsie nog oorhou en dan kan julle ietsie kry. So do you understand why it's so important for you, the shareholder, to know how much me and Mr. Horn is going to get paid? Is julle by? We are just the directors. We're supposed to, our fees must be in line with what the company can afford. Ons kan nie al die geld vir ons vat en sê, ag, jammer vir julle nou nie. Is julle, do you understand that? Okay. Dan, as daar 3 direkteure is en 'n hoofuitvoerende beampte, CEO, in Afrikaans is HUB, hoofuitvoerende beampte, né? In die geval, let's have a look at what the directors' fees were in our list of balances. Direkteursvergoeding was R400,000, which I think is not too bad for a company. Then they tell us, no, jy moet nou gaan uitwerk, because I cannot tell you how many times you're going to do an adjustment with directors' fees. Remember, you're going to do a statement of comprehensive income en jy moet mos 'n staat van finansiële posisie doen. Statement of comprehensive income and statement of financial position have adjustments. Wat is die aansuiwerings? For directors' fees, it can be an accrued expense of it kan 'n vooruitbetaalde uitgawe wees. There will be an adjustment concerning directors' fees. Want ek moet vir jou you must be able to do either prepaid expense or accrued expense. En ek moet gaan toets dat jy kan dat jy direkteursvergoeding verstaan. So instead of telling you the water and electricity account was received but not yet paid, it will now have something to do with directors' fees. And most of the time, the director will either receive too much or too little, en dan moet jy gaan uitwerk hoeveel is dit te veel of te min. It's a calculation. Again, if you can't do the calculation and the director's fees is too little, wat doen jy? In your statement of comprehensive income, let's say my balance is 400,000 that I supplied. You saw that I still owe, the company still owes director's fee to one of the directors. So it's a plus, né? If you still owe, you must add to director's fees. Skryf in your financiële staat. 400,000, remember I always ask you to show calculations. 400,000 plus, you don't know the amount, 1. As long as I can see, you know you have to plus. Inside the statement, you now have 400,000 and R1. You're not going to get the mark for the R1, for the +1, but I must give you the mark for your amount, the 400,000 plus the 1. So as jy nie die sommetjie kan doen nie, it's fine. So just realize, must this increase or should it be decreasing? If it increases and you don't know how to get how much it must increase with, right, +1. As it moet verminder en jy kan nie uitwerk hoeveel moet dit minder wees nie. Right, skryf daar -1. You won't get the mark for the plus or the -1, but I must accept your answer inside the column. Want jy het mos nou vir my jou sommetjie gewys, né? Do you understand? Moenie dit ooplos nie. The first thing that, especially those of you who have problems with calculations, you read and say, oh, this must increase or this must decrease. If you've got that X for rent, as jy dit kan doen, is it all right. Jy skryf die huurinkomste se bedrag wat ek gegee het in die proefbalans. Nou, skryf jy, you saw that rent, that tell you rent is still receivable, then it must be a plus. +1 is fine, your answer. Jy gaan nie die 2 punte kry vir die +1 nie, but you will get the 1 mark in there. Because normally the rent income, all of this is normally 3 marks. It's whatever the calculation is. If it's difficult, it's a 2 and then 1 for the answer. So if it's 3 marks, you can get 1 of the 3 marks, want jy het geplus of geminus. If it's easy, it's 2 marks. you can get one of the two marks. You can either get 33% or 50%, even if you couldn't do the calculation. Maar as jy niks doen nie, en jy skryf net my bedrag oor, then unfortunately you haven't done the adjustment, I cannot give you the marks. I showed you last year that in accounting, there is enough marks in a paper, enough work with marks, as genoeg saamwerkpunte vir jou, né? Om ten minste 30% te kry. So there's no reason why you should fail a paper, even if most of your calculations are wrong. Jy moes net geweet het is 'n plus of 'n minus. Dan moet ek vir jou die punte gee. And if all your expenses in that expenses little block is wrong, but you've added your wrong amounts correctly on top of the block it's in brackets, dan moet ek vir jou 'n punt gee. Because you've done that. But if it's not in brackets, then you didn't know expenses must be minus. Then I can't give you the mark. So you can have gross profit wrong using your sales and your cost of sales. That's one mark. Your other incomes, all of them can be wrong, but you've added correctly. So your unverkoopie blokkie is, dan kry jy nog 'n punt. Your bruto bedryfswins, that gross operating profit can be wrong. You have to take gross profit plus your incomes gives you your gross operating profit. Your expenses in brackets, then you will get your net profit before your bedryf, your operating profit. Can be wrong, but you've used your wrong amounts in the correct way. We really work with, hoekom dink jy het ek hierdie groot calculator? Want ek moet al die goed aan mekaar optel. Do you understand? Now you sit with your operating profit. Your interest income is wrong, maar jy het reg opgetel jou bedrag is. I must give you a mark for that. So ons het nou 1, 2, 3, 4 punte. Normally statement of comprehensive income is run about 30 marks. 4 marks there. Your operating profit was wrong, but your interest income is wrong. Mark number 5. Profit before interest expense is wrong, but it's right according to your information. Number 6. Then interest expense is wrong, but according to your stuff is right. Then net profit before tax, number 8. Then income tax, which is normally a percentage of that amount. So I must accept net profit after tax, 10 marks. You had no amounts right, but you've worked correctly with your amounts. 10 out of the 30 gives you 33%. You need 30% to pass. But if you don't do the calculations with your marks, with your amounts, then there's nothing I can do. Sorry, I need to speak to Mrs. Brown. Mevrouw Brown, hier. Ek hoor so. Okay, good. Okay, good. But do you understand? So listen to me. You are going to do a statement of comprehensive income of a company. All the same adjustments. Again, if you don't know the amounts, just realize plus or minus 1, get your answer. Is julle by? Do you understand that? It's not difficult to pass accounting, but if you don't know the format, you don't know that discount received is an income. You write it as an expense. Dan kan ek vir jou punte gee nie. It's a -1. Okay. Vir hierdie geval, daar's 3 direkteure. Die hoofuitvoerende beampte verdien R7,000 meer per jaar. So hoeveel so we already know there are 3 directors and a CEO. So that's 4 people that earns money. Of the one of them, one receives 70,000 more than the others. So wat het ek nou gemaak? Kyk gou hier, so wat het ek gedoen? I took the 400,000. That includes the 70,000 extra. Do you understand that? Okay, is julle by daarmee? Okay, so wat het ek gemaak daarmee? Toe jy vertel my wat het ek gedoen? How do I get the answer? Probeer dit uitwerk vir môre. Ek gaan nie nou daai sommetjie vir jou vra nie. I want you to try and do that calculation for tomorrow. Ek gaan nie daai sommetjie vir jou wys nie. En dan ek moet dit daar gaan. Wat 'n groot boekrekeninge, you must try and do a calculation. You should be able to do a calculation. There are 3 directors and the CEO is one of the 3. Né? Hy verdien R70,000 meer as die ander 2. Dis wat daar staan. So 400,000 for the 3. One of the 3 is the CEO. Yes. Then you sit with the rest. The 3 and then you plus the 70,000. Dis eintlik wat hulle vir jou vra. Is julle by? This is the 3. We 3 are the directors. I'm CEO, so I'm going to earn more than they are just Beluka directors. So 400,000 for the three of us. We all get the same, but I get 70,000 more than them. So hoeveel, in totaal was it 400,000. My 70,000 extra I'm taking away. So there's 330 left for the three of us. Divide by 3, give me 110,000. They all get 110. What did I get? 110 plus the 70. Is julle by? Verstaan julle dit? Do you understand that, people? Okay. Dis die tipe sommetjies wat jy gaan kry by direkteursvergoeding. That's the type of calculations you're going to get in directors fees. Dan vra hulle vir jou, wanneer die maatskappy dit betaal, watter joernaal word gebruik en watter rekening word gedebiteer en gekrediteer. We are paying. Which is the journal you use for paying? CPJ. Grade 8 you've been using CPJ. As jy nou nog nie weet van KBJ nie, you're really in the wrong subject. And I have to Ek gaan niks van my salaris terugbetaal nie, because I've been teaching you since grade 8. I'm not going to refund anybody any money. As ons betaal, if we pay, automatically bank will be the credit. Nou, bank is die gekrediteer. Van bank wat gewoonlik 'n baat is, as hy minder word, word hy mos gekrediteer. If bank is an overdraft, bank will still be credited, because your overdraft is just going to increase. Kan julle dit onthou? So if bank is the account credited, dan moet die ander rekening mos gedebiteer word. And the other account is directors fees, which is a new expense. Wat was 'n nuwe uitgawe is? Expenses increase on the debit side. You're supposed to know debt. Julle moet verbou nou, ken hè, julle weet mos dit. Okay. Klaar daarmee. Audit fees. Ek dink ek gaan nou klaar maak. Hoe laat by die klok? Wat ek net gou kyk. Ek het nou goed. Dit is 'n gewone dag vandag, né? Woensdag. Ja, it's a Monday. Here it's 3 repeats. Is that right? Yes. So 9:43. Is dit reg? Here 2. I'm lying. Hoe laat? 9:28. Okay. Good. You have to try and do number 4, number 5, and number 6, please. Onthou, ek gaan vir jou môre die antwoorde, ek gaan print en uitdeel, but you have to go through this yourself as well. Is julle by? Are we fine? Meneer Ron, is daar enige vrae van jou klas af?
Nee, hulle is alright. Hulle het vrae gevra
en hulle beantwoord. Okay, die recording stop hoor. Dankie julle.
Okay. Bye.
Okay, people, I'm going to